Yep. Yeah, we beat Ballarat both times and lost to Sebastopol both times. Sweet.
Hey, Caleb, just to get us started, particularly with my intro, can you just set the camera and control that just till I get started? Is that all right?
Do you want to swap sides?
Actually, it's probably not a bad idea. We're going to swap sides. Just 3 teams remain in contention for the coveted 2022 Premiership as the McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League enters the penultimate weekend of action. The opening 2 weeks of the Carlton Draft Final Series has been nothing short of sensational, with one of today's combatants, Ballarat, orchestrating a thrilling 1-point win over Darley to progress to today's preliminary final. Sebastopol lands in today's cutthroat contest, having fallen to a 43-point second semi-final loss to Melton, leaving the all-conquering Bloods to lay in wait as today's battle determines their foe for next Saturday's ultimate decider at Mars Stadium. Hello, I'm Wes Custworth. Welcome to City Oval for the Ballarat Toyota match of the day as the Boroughs and the Swans clash in what should be a terrific contest between two of the competition's best credentialed teams. Today I'm joined in commentary by 56 AFL game Essendon midfielder, but more recently East Point star Jackson Merritt. Thanks for joining me, Jackson.
Thanks for having me, Wes. I think it presents a great game today, and the teams are very evenly poised.
They certainly are. We saw a round 9 contest between the two teams go down to just a 1-point win to Ballarat, and then in round 18 it was Ballarat by just 3 points. The Boroughs inaccurate on that occasion. Clearly there's very little separating the sides.
Yeah, I think I liken Ballarat to Collingwood in the AFL. They've just been able to find a way to get over the line for a large portion of the year. I think they've had 5 or 6 games decided by less than a goal.
Probably the most interesting way to contextualise your position of these two sides is to look at East Point's record across the course of 2022 against both teams, and there's some interesting results through rounds 2, 6, 12 and 13.
Yeah, I think Sebas line up really well against us, and unfortunately they got the wood over us in both occasions, but when we came up against the Swans, we took away the chocolates both days there, and I don't know, we just match up really well against the Swans, especially around the midfield. So, as I said earlier, I think it presents as a really even contest today across the board.
As we look at the respective lineups for today's game, I just wonder if you would identify for each team some of the players to watch across the course of today.
I've been really impressed by Sam James's form for the Swans over the last month or so. He's in the high to mid 30 possessions and averaging a couple of goals a game. I think Marcus Powling's inclusion in the latter half of the year really shores things up around the stoppages for them and had around the 70 hit-outs last week. For Sebas, I think that added responsibility in the back half. Some of their players with Lockie are out and perhaps back in this week. I think there's going to be a heavier reliance on him, whether he goes to a Gibson or someone like that and tries to nullify his influence on the game. Yes,
indeed. And no doubt there's a lot to be said for the little fella up forward for Ballarat. We know that he's an absolute goal-kicking star. He had some AFL experience himself at the Western Bulldogs. Some very good football in the VFL with Werribee, and Andrew Hooper is a real danger man, isn't he, for the Swans?
Yeah, I think he's a real barometer. Unfortunately, both occasions we played them this season, we were able to nullify his influence, and he was definitely one of the key players we targeted going into that game. So if he can get his hands on it, I think that'll go a long way to winning the game for the Swans.
Do you find their record against the remaining teams in the competition a meaningful statistic? I mean, we see that Sebastopol have lost all 4 games against the remaining teams in the competition, and Ballarat have split their results 2-2. What does that mean?
I don't think it matters too much this time of the year. Obviously, it's probably in the back of your mind, but in finals, anything can happen. I do think Melton are that probably step above these two sides out here today, but whoever does face them next weekend, I'm sure they'll give it their best crack and try and shake things up. And I think coming off a hard-fought game today only holds them in good stead next weekend, with Melton having to buy the weekend off.
Have you found with the news that you're going to be taking the reins at East Point that you've given even greater attention to looking closely at other lineups and what East Point might need to do in preparation for 2023 to return to the glory of 2018 and 19?
Yeah, look, I'm just a footy fanatic. I enjoy watching as much football as possible, really. But yeah, try to take away some of the nuances, I suppose, of each team and what they're really focusing on and what their strengths are. And I think today both teams are matched up really well from a contested ball point of view. The amount of times they do enter their 50s across the ground, they average, I think, 0.2 or something of a goal that separates them across the year from goals kicked and behinds kicked, so there's not much between it. As I said, it presents as a great match.
We certainly see the importance of capitalising on those forward 50 entries. It was evident even in last night's AFL game, wasn't it, really? Obviously, Melbourne were pretty wasteful and will no doubt be lamenting their forward entries and what they were able to do with them.
Yeah, it's a super key stat. I know our loss against Darley 2 weeks ago, we went down by a point and we won that inside 50 stat by 21. But unfortunately, we weren't able to convert on the day. And yeah, whoever can kick the most goals at the end of the game is going to come away the winner. That
was quite a remarkable contest. I was watching that one on the live stream, and it just seemed, for all intents and purposes, that it was only a matter of time before East Point would be able to get something over the line to at least take it into extra time. But you must give a lot of credit to Darley. They were able to repel amazingly effectively.
Yeah, and then you only have to look at last week's result as well. Swans jumped them early and got out to a 40-point lead, and they were able to claw it back, and it was probably their game to lose in the end, and Ballarat in the dying minutes of the match are able to slip away with it. Just that endeavour and want and will to will themselves to the final finish line.
As you said, Melton appear to be just that little bit of a step above their rivals, but you would imagine that whoever gets through to next week would put a lot of thought into how they might combat Melton. We know that they certainly, as Kevin Sheedy would suggest, if it bleeds, you can kill it. So Melton, they did go down a couple of times against Sunbury and, of course, at North Ballarat at Bar Stadium. So they're certainly capable of being overcome, but they're a mighty fine team.
Yeah, for sure. We were the last occasion we played Melton this season, we had a really good first half, and most people will know that third quarter. We've never seen anything like it in footy, and we weren't able to stem the bleeding on that occasion, and they kicked 14 goals in a quarter, and they only went inside 50, 18 occasions that day for 14 goals, 3 in that third quarter, and yeah, we just couldn't stop it. They've got some really good players across the line. I think Borg's a really key player to them. He brings that element of speed and really breaks the game open for Melton on the outside.
Yeah, he certainly loves to run. And just to touch on very briefly your own experience, obviously you came through the footy factory that is the Geelong Falcons from Cobden. Did you see much Hampden senior action, if any?
I haven't seen a Hampden game for a few years now. I was over in the West for the last 3 seasons. But when time does present, I do enjoy getting back to my roots, and I've still got some friends that play down that way. And yeah, I was fortunate enough as a young guy at 16 to make my debut down in the Hampden League.
Yes, well, we're certainly very appreciative of the fact that you've wound up in the Ballarat Football League, and you'll be taking on the reins at East Point, which should be fantastic. Jake Bridges has obviously been in command there and been a terrific leader, and time to hand over the baton.
Yeah, really looking forward to the opportunity next season. And we've been fortunate enough to retain most of our list going into next season as well, and hopefully we can just add a little bit of polish to that, as well as developing some of our younger players, and hopefully we're back up where we'd like to be at the pointy end of next season.
What's your estimation of the breeze here at City Oval as we see that Sebastopol will be kicking to the left of screen?
Yeah, it looks to be a 2 or 3 goal breeze. I don't think it's anything outrageous, but we'll soon find out.
Yes, we will indeed. Just moments away from the beginning of the McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League preliminary final in our Carlton Draft Finals series here at City Oval. We're with Wes Cusworth and Jackson Merritt and Powling, and also Richards set themselves. Umpire holds the ball aloft to get things underway on our penultimate weekend in our Ballarat Toyota match of the day. A little bit of push and shove as we see that Liston has gone to try to shut down Lockie Cassidy. First possession, well, not even clearing the ball, was Sebastopol and winning themselves a free kick. It's going to be the Swans in the middle of City Oval. So they're going to get first opportunity to go forward. Real up and under. Nice distance with the kick despite the breeze. Here's an opportunity for Will Garner, moves the ball forward by hand, and ultimately Lachlan Dawson not able to bring it in, and the ball over the boundary line, 35 metres around from the scoring zone.
An interesting move. Keel's lined up at the half-back line here today. Spent a lot of time forward since he returned from his injury early in the year.
Good player. Love to watch him in action. Nice high throw in. Ball to ground, taken by Sebas, wrapped up in the tackle. And Bailey Veal not able to progress. The umpire intervenes.
No Keefe with the matchup on Gibson.
Yeah, interesting one, that one. He'll certainly have his hands full. Here's the Swans. One way, then the other. Quick kick forward by Will Liston. Here's Gibson, sits underneath it. Has the ball fisted away. Clever work by Sebastopol. Gibson does well at ground level. The Swans ducking, weaving. Spills the ball out. And happy to concede a little bit of ground there on that occasion. The Swans, just to retain possession. Going backwards to now go forward. Inside 50 again. Perry sets himself. Ball fisted away. Kick comes from Dawson. Sky high. Doesn't travel the necessary distance to actually create a score. That was Dummett. Well, got the ball out to the advantage of a teammate. And now Sebas, an opportunity to move forward. Overrunning it was Powling. Nice gather on that occasion by Pabst. He's a dangerous player, and a good mark taken by Liam Stowe. By hand, Stowe moves it on to Hutt. Hutt with a little intended kick that doesn't quite hit its target. That gives the opportunity for Fisher to take possession, but he's worked back over the line for a rush behind. Swans move it forward by foot very quickly. Cassidy almost into the fiending. Got to the footy now on this occasion, and we're going to have another ball up. No, in fact, we're not. It's deemed that Cassidy has jumped on the footy, and as a consequence has coughed up a free kick, and it's going to be the Swans at half back.
That breeze is definitely playing an impact there.
Good distance with the kick. Opportunity for Veal. That was Dawson. Nice gather once again by Hugo Pabst. He's had a couple of really good gathers. Moving the ball forward and over the boundary line in the path of Toby Hutt. Not able to haul it in. Ball over the boundary line.
You see Swans really trying to clear that D50, and the wind holding it up. There's definitely an advantage down to the city end.
And the responsibility then is to obviously capitalise and make the most of kicking with the aid of the breeze. throw in. Sebastopol missing the target. Now they get a kick away. Garner. Oh, hands it over. And Cassidy with a shot on goal and misses to the left through for just the one behind. Two behind Sebas. Continuing to want to work to the outer side of the ground. Bailey Fraser uses his distance by foot and then kicks long. And the ball over the boundary line once again between centre wing and half forward.
Been a bit of a nothing start here. Contest after contest.
Yeah, just filling one another out. We saw that last night in the AFL. It was a fairly flat sort of first half, and then it really did explode in the second half, and we know that the momentum of a game can change pretty quickly. Pabst, by hand, releases a teammate. The lead's on just over the top of the target there on that occasion. Keeble dispossessed of the football. Umpire says he didn't dispose adequately. He's a real danger man, isn't he, for Sebas?
Yeah, he's that X factor when it comes inside forward 50. Really good overhead, and generally a pretty good set shot for goal too.
Fisher marks at halfback. Very short option, just the necessary distance. Not the necessary distance, says the umpire. That was Bailey Fraser. Sends it to the outer side of the ground, and the mark's taken by Blackburn. So no gain made, just switching to the fat side of the ground. Trying to take it on the half volley was Waitman. Gets the handball out, then his teammate's taken over the shoulder. That's going to be a free kick to the Swans at half back. Playing on. Swans down by 2 points. Kick towards centre wing, fisted away. Sebas, pole position. Not able to take possession. Right in the middle of City Oval, and the umpire intervenes with the ball up.
Ballarat really trying to hold their width here and pick their way through. Sebas hasn't worked thus far.
That is something that Melton has mastered. The way that they are able to do that is absolutely enormous. Looping handball over the top by the Swans, just hacking it out of the air. Dummett in hot pursuit, but the Swans are going to lead him to the football. That's Liston. Retreats with the handball. Garner continuing to be forced backwards. Now a kick comes from Sutton. And it's a little bit wide there on that occasion as Andrew Hooper's hammered into the ground. But he acknowledges that the free kick's going to go the way of Sebas at left half back. It's just a little bit fluky, the breeze, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's interesting here, Sebas' tactic to go backwards and not capitalise on that wind and look to go forward, but I don't mind it. Possess the ball, pick their way through, really spread Swans' defence. Yeah,
so Shea found Keel, who moves it to the outer side of the ground, and Sebas, leading by 2 points, will come back inside to O'Shea. No goal yet. Sebastopol just the two behinds. We've gone some 6.5 minutes in the opening term of our preliminary final. Swans probably feel pretty happy with this game to this point in time. This might open up a little bit now as True marks. Moves it on and then pumping it forward is Widgery. It's a one-on-one. Mark taken by Sebas. Swans appealing for a little bit of a push there on that occasion, but umpire content with the fact that that was a legitimate mark, and now deliberate shot on goal will come from the boot of Toby Hutt.
I think the build up to that composure in the back half, able to pick their way through. Mark, uncontested mark after uncontested mark until something opened up, and once it did, they got that overlap handball and a really good look out the back, and can Hutt convert?
Toby Hutt from 35 metres comes in now. It's a lovely kick off the boot. Toby Hutt's kicked our first goal of the preliminary final in the McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League. And Sebastopol 1-2-8. Hold that 8-point ascendancy over Ballarat, yet to score.
I think that presents as a really exciting matchup there today too. Van der Heuvel on Hutt. Both pretty key players to both sides.
Yeah, well, I certainly saw Van der Heuvel certainly hold his own against Melton a couple of weeks back. The damage would have been far more severe were it not for the contribution of Van der Heuvel as Powling goes up against Taylor once again. Ball spills out. Jed Hill may have earned himself a free kick. That's the way it's going to go. So Hill prepares to send the Burrows forward. His side in the ascendancy by 8 points. Good distance with the kick. The target was Hutt once again. Now the ball at ground level. And the umpire will call for a ball up just 25 metres out from the Borough's scoring zone.
Liston definitely going to Cassidy. He's still been able to get his hands on it in around the contest and flick it out to his teammates on the outside.
Such a fantastic player. He's missed obviously a lot of football this year, but the reigning Henderson medalist is just an enormous talent. Gathers possessions at will, and we'll have another ball up. This time 35 metres out from the Borough's scoring zone. Reserve grade game, Sunbury 15-17, 107, defeated Sebas 2-8-20. The Boroughs will be looking for a better result in this game this afternoon. Jack Banbury takes a good mark. Promising young player out of the St. Pat's system. Good distance with the kick from Banbury. It may have carried the... Well, it certainly did carry the journey, but it was just a little off target there on that occasion. And it's behind 1-3-9 Sebastopol. Ballarat still searching for their first score of the game.
Sebastian's really well set up here. They've got their zone. They've got their really good coverage across the ground. It'll be interesting to see how the Swans combat this on the way out.
Particularly with the flukiness of the wind conditions, it does pose some real problems trying to hit targets. Bailey Fraser sends it out wide, and Toby Hutt happy to contest and fist it over the line for a boundary throw in between centre wing and half forward.
It appears the Swans really want to exit the ball out of their back 50 on that far side of the ground. Every occasion they have exited, they've gone to that side.
Howling, second in line, fist to the front of the pack. James, taken away by the Borough, and the mark taken. Might be Stowe, comes to the corridor and finds Bailey Veal. So another shot on goal to come for Sebastopol. Any consideration with regard to maybe aiming for the right post, do you suspect?
Yeah, it does appear the Berries are sort of pushing across the ground on that 45-degree angle.
Maybe over his right shoulder as he comes in now. He'll cross the 50. Kicks from 45. It's a nice kick off the boot. Sebastopol's got a second. They've stretched it out to a 15-point advantage. Sebastopol 2-3-15, leading Ballarat, still yet to score. We've gone 11 minutes into our preliminary final for 2022.
Sebastopol really owning the ball once it does get to the outside. I thought Swans may have had that upper hand going into the game, but Sebastopol have really been able to possess the ball and own it on the outside and retain possession.
Good crowd here today too, Jackson.
Yes, numbers filling in here. Obviously we've got the Central Highlands Grand Final at the moment as well. It's still good to see so many people here supporting both sides.
Well, I reckon it might be last person leaving Melton turn out the lights next Saturday for the game at Mars Stadium, and whoever they're contesting, it will be a monster crowd at Mars Stadium. We're looking forward to that, but right now we've got to determine who is actually going to get through to contest it against the Bloods. And we'll have another ball up. City Ovals retain good surface condition too, despite a bit of rain across the course of the week as the Swans go forward. This is Perry leading his rival to the football and pretty happy to find the boundary line, 45 metres around from the scoring zone. What can they hope to hold the damage to, given the fact that they're kicking into the breeze in the first term, the Swans?
Yeah, I reckon if they can hold it to 3 or 4 goals and just turn into a real scrap around the footy and contest after contest and really stem that bleeding, I'm sure Swans will go in at quarter time really happy.
Widgery got it off to his teammate there in Harvey. Now Sebastis away. It's a 3-on-1 situation though. The numbers are with Ballarat, although Sebas do very well indeed in holding that in and creating a stoppage. It's good stuff by Sebas. They looked like they were seriously outnumbered, but Ballarat not able to clear. They can now through James. Scrubbing sort of kick, ill-directed though, because it travels only so far as Veal, who pumps it towards the corridor. Big men fly and no mark taken, the ball to ground. We'll have a ball up 40 metres out. Really
struggling to get into the game. They're coming up to the contest here, and Sebastian just holding their numbers back and able to repel those entries and bring it straight back in.
Well, especially when you've got such quality players up forward in Hooper and Gibson, and just being starved of opportunities. The kick on goal comes from the boot of Chase Dummett, and it's just to the right, through for a minor score as the Boroughs move along to 2-4-16 and lead by that margin. Ballarat still to score. So we've gone some 14 minutes into this first term. Swans, Powling, couldn't mark. Ball at ground level. No look handball from James. Little kick off the ground. Hooper will run onto this. Takes possession. Spills the handball out to Liston. Quick kick forward. Perry, front position. Juggling mark. No, umpire says didn't have enough of it. And the pack forms and we'll have a ball out. Ball up 40 metres out from the Swans goal there. Certainly we're in with an opportunity now, one would think.
Yes. See if they can lock it in here. Repeat stoppage after repeat stoppage and wrestle some of that momentum back.
At least soak up a little bit of time. Crone got a handball out. Now the Swans kick forward. Gibson in the mix. Taken by Hooper. One way, then the other. Happy to retreat with the kick and find a teammate. Might be Sam Fisher, is it? No.
Prendergast.
Carter Prendergast. So, interesting opportunity for Prendergast. Can he boot the first major for the Swans? He comes in now. Kicks from 48. It sits up in the breeze. Perry, Gibson. Gibson! Great mark. Quality football once again by the former AFL player.
Just his presence once it is coming inside forward 50. You know he's not going to be out marked on too many occasions.
Pretty important shot on goal. He comes to his left and he's kicked it. I thought he might have pulled it back a little bit too far there on that occasion, but he's booted the first goal of the game for the Swans. Gibson's quality stands up when it's required.
It's interesting to see as well when there are those inside 50 stoppages in Ballarat's favour that both ruckmen are electing not to go in and contest that ruck contest. Sebast looking to even up that spare behind the ball in Powling.
Yeah, you'd probably have a restless night's sleep knowing that you're going to line up on the likes of Gibson in a big final. James with a takeaway. What can that do for the Swans there? Back to a 10-point deficit. 16 plays 6. Swans have it between centre wing and half forward, and we'll have a ball up 16 minutes into the first term. How'd the East Point boys go in the early game?
Unfortunately went down. Definitely wasn't their finest game for the year. They kicked their first goal in the third quarter.
Well, they've made it through to the final 3, which is an outstanding season, despite falling at this particular hurdle. Opportunity for Sebast to clear, and the pack forms and we'll have another ball up on centre wing. 17 minutes gone in our preliminary final. 16 plays 6. Here's the Boroughs going forward once again. Front position, Pabst does well. Swings around onto the right, kicks to a one-on-one situation. Oh, Mark Spilt, but it fell to his feet and almost inadvertently kicked a goal, but he just missed to the left. That was Liam Stowe. 11 points separate the sides, 17 plays 6. It's one of those things, isn't it, that you just, with the aid of the breeze, you can either hurriedly get it down there and be wasteful or hurriedly get it down there and create opportunities. It still takes a bit of poise to hit your targets.
Yes, it's very much a balancing act.
And they'll go inside once again, Sebastopol. The Swans have the numbers, and they do very well as they release the pressure by hand. Blackburn, sweeping handball over the top, puts it into the path of a teammate, but set his teammate a real task because Medwell intervened, and then he in turn found Keeble. So Keeble, 55 from home. Wheels around to the right, kicks to the hot spot, and that is a good mark on that occasion by Bailey van der Heuvel. quality player.
Again, we have Swans looking to exit out of that far side of the ground.
This is
Clearly a
Powling.
key tactic.
Powling assesses his options and goes long. Ball fisted away. James is happy to escort his rival over the boundary line. We'll have a boundary throw in. 19 minutes gone, 17 plays 6. Sebastopol 2-5, one would think would be seemingly a little wasteful now. Although at least one of those has been a rush behind. Here's Sebast. Dummett throws it on the boot. Good distance with the kick, and the mark falls the way of Adam Forbes.
That classic case of the stoppage just getting it on the boot with the wind and falling, the four playing in front and falling in his lap.
Yeah, it's worked well for Sebast on this occasion. Good work by Chase Dummett. Moving it forward hurriedly. Here's Forbes. Kicks from 40. Real up and under. Lets the wind do a lot of work, but he's kicked truly. And that is Sebastopol's third goal of the game. They move along to 3-5-23, now leading by 17 points. And Ballarat 1 straight 6. We have gone 19 and a half minutes into the first term of our preliminary final.
Still relatively evenly poised, I'd say, given the wind conditions, and Swans have done quite well to stem some of that bleeding from earlier in the quarter and turn it into a bit more of a scrap.
You know, I always like to use the analogy of a cricket game where you don't really know what the wicket's doing until you see both sides bat on it. And it will be interesting to see what the Swans do with the aid of the breeze across the course of the second term. But right now it's Sebastopol enjoying that opportunity. There's Cassidy. Puts his head over the football, as is always the way. Widgery got it out to the advantage of a teammate, and now they'll pump it forward, Sebas, to a one-on-one situation again, and there's really good hands demonstrated by Toby Hutt. He looked comfortable there.
Yeah, Hutt looks to have the advantage in that matchup. Van der Heuvel seems to have misjudged the ball in the air a number of times today. He's got himself in good positions and then either ran under it or let Hutt just push him out of the rope.
Well, Toby Hutt will line up for number 2. 45-degree angle. Will kick from 45. Put his side further ahead. He comes in and misses to the left. 3-6-24. Sebastopol. Ballarat just the 1 straight 6. 21 minutes gone. First term action. They're the ones that Sebast have got to make the most of.
Most certainly.
This is Fraser. He's in the outer side of the ground once again. Ball comes to ground. Dummett's got plenty of possessions, which has been really creative for Sebas. Inside 50. Oh, Mark Spilt there on that occasion. Opens the door, and a high tackle on Sebas is going to provide a shot on goal from just 25 metres out. Well, it looked like the Swans had the advantage with numbers back there, but just a little bit of miscommunication.
Yeah, very messy, the last line of defence.
This is Jed Hill.
He's one of those X-factor players as well. He's got really good speed, closing space as a small forward, and can come up and pinch it in the midfield as well.
Directly in front. Will kick from just 25 metres out, and Jed Hill makes no mistake. And Sebastopol's got its 4th goal. 4-6-30, now leading by 24 points over Ballarat. 1 straight 6 in our preliminary final for 2022.
Five Swans, I wouldn't want to be conceding too many more in the latter half of this quarter and in stoppage time. Whether they look to put an extra behind the ball and stem some of that bleeding. At this point in time, they look to be backing in their system and going with an even 6-6-6.
Yeah, with 23 minutes gone, and one would think at least a good 5 to 6 minutes remaining. Even longer if the ball actually doesn't come back. Still waiting for the share-in to be returned. Here we go. So, pretty good start by Sebas. Goals to Hutt, Veal, Forbes and Hill. A 24-point advantage The single Swans goal coming from the boot of Gibson. Lovely turnout at City Oval, Ballarat. Great day for it. Big fist away there on that occasion by Richards, sorry. And we'll have another ball up. A little bit of push and shove from some of the boys. And a free kick pulled out of that one by the umpire, and it's going to go the way of the Swans. And this is going to be Nick Waitman. Just a little silly indiscretion there. Swans up the corridor. Awkward sort of bouncing football there for Hooper. Couldn't gather it. And as a consequence, it's Sebastopol with an opportunity to clear. Waitman will get another opportunity. Lays a good tackle. And we'll have another stoppage on centre wing.
Liston's just got up a little bit sore from that last knock. Running with Cassidy still.
Yeah, great challenge for the young fella. There's Cassidy, the man that we make mention of. Sebast go forward again. Mark's built there on that occasion by Fraser. Opportunity for Forbes. Taken to ground. Paid a free kick. Forbes with another shot on goal to come.
That's a second free kick against Sutton in the last 2 minutes, and they're both going to result in shots on goal. Can Forbes capitalise and extend the lead to an even 5 goals?
Well, this is where I reckon that he might have the breeze directly behind his back here. So Forbes for his second, and an opportunity to extend the margin out to 30 points. Kicks from 35. Once again, a real up and under. This time he's missing to the near side. And the margin stretches to 25 points, says Sebastopol 4-7-31. And they lead Ballarat just the one straight. Short option up the corridor. Always fraught with a little bit of danger. This time they go a little bit wider. James is in the mix. And the umpire calls for a ball up on a right half forward. Sebastopol into attack, leading by 25 points. Take away with Sebas. Burrows throw it on the boot. Keeble sits underneath it, ball fisted away. Forbes overran it, taken by the Swans. They'll clear from half back. Kick towards centre wing. Mark taken by Keel. Certainly a better side with him in the lineup.
Most certainly, especially with Lockyer, unfortunately getting injured a couple of weeks ago. Really assuring them down back this week.
Mark's built there on that occasion by the Swans. Might have been Swain. And we'll have another ball up. Ticking towards the quarter-time break here at the City Oval, preliminary final. One way, then the other. That was Swain. Didn't travel any great distance. Sebas taken to ground and the Swans take it away, but Sebas have certainly set up well behind the ball, haven't they?
They sure have. Their ability to intercept mark and then retain possession and draw the Swans defenders out to give himself a better look coming back in.
Danbury evades the experienced Hooper and sends it out wide. Hugging the boundary. Sebas, they want to come inside. Short option. And now, with an opportunity with a shot on goal. Ben Hutt comes in now, gets very close to the man on the mark, but gets good distance with the kick. It's across the face and the ball over the boundary line, just 15 metres around from the scoring zone.
It's definitely been interesting. Swans have exited on that far side of the ground on every occasion, which defending, I'd like to think that you want to come out this side and try and kill that ball and just get some stoppages. Sebastopol had some really good looks when it has turned over and come back the other way.
Taking possession is Veal. He's wrapped up in the tackle. And Keegan Mellington ensures there's a stoppage. 31 plays 6, 28 minutes gone. massive players around the footy. James, the no-look handball over the top. It's going to work for the Swans on this occasion. They're going to hug the commentary side of the ground. The kick away. That was Perry, dispossessed, taken by Keel. He's taken over the boundary line by Lachlan Dawson, and we'll have a ball up right in front of us in the commentary position. Fisted away by Powling. James. It's been good today so far, James. Domick. Now the Swans, well, almost smothered his teammate's kick there on that occasion. Daniel Kennedy, you'll get an opportunity. In fact, it's going to be a free kick. That is going to go the way of the Swans. And it is Kennedy. What can he do? Can they pinch a late one? Kennedy. Ball holds up in the breeze. Gibson has the ball fisted away. Quick snap on goal from Hooper. Cracking goal from the little fella. And Ballarat do, in fact, pull one back right on quarter time. And we saw last night in the AFL game at halftime how important that late goal is. And there we have it. Ballarat have pinched one. And that takes us to quarter time with Sebastopol 4-7-31 leading by 19 points. Ballarat 2 straight 12. And Jackson, as we look down the goal kickers list, it's Hutt, Veal, Forbes and Hill kicking goals for the Boroughs, and for Ballarat, Gibson and Hooper. No surprise, the experience up forward getting on the scoreboard.
Yes, we spoke about Hooper at the start of the game as being one of the key prime movers, and he doesn't necessarily have to touch the ball a lot, but his impact is quite high once he does. As you can see there, bobbing up with an opportunistic goal.
So take us through some of your better players for the respective teams across the course of the first term.
I think Cassidy's normal impact was probably nullified to a degree, but still his ability to get his hands on it in heavy traffic and get it out to his teammates on the outside was really impressive. In saying that, I thought Liston was really good at the same time for Ballarat early on. He got his hands on it a number of times, especially in the first 10 minutes. Pap's ability to provide a contest in the front half along with Hutt for Sebas. And then, as we said, just the prime movers for Ballarat in their forward half, Gibson and Hooper just popping up when the opportunity present to ensure they keep themselves within reasonable touch moving into the second quarter.
So is 19 points a significant enough lead for Sebastopol at quarter time?
Look, I think I touched on it about 10 minutes ago in that quarter that it was relatively even, and then Sebas were able to kick it further too, and I think that goal to Ballarat there really evens it up. We'll soon find out, as you said earlier. Once both teams have kicked with the wind, we'll have a better idea, but I think it's a really evenly poised match at this point.
And that is all to come across the course of the remaining 3 quarters of our preliminary final. Sebastopol 4-7-31 lead Ballarat 2 straight 12 at quarter time. Well, welcome back to City Oval. You're with Wes Cusworth and Jackson Merritt as Sebastopol 4-7-31 lead Ballarat 2 straight 12, and this will be a most telling second quarter, Jackson, because as we've discussed, we really do want to see what sort of impact the breeze is having on the contest and, well, just how effectively the Swans can use it.
Yes, we did touch on that, and I think Sebast's ability to own the ball on the outside a little bit through that first quarter was the only real difference between the sides, and with that aid of the breeze, we'll see if Ballarat can get the same advantage.
And just whether or not Sebastopol do anything terribly different in terms of shutting down the game and maybe mitigating the damage that's done by the Swans kicking with the aid of the breeze.
Yeah, it's been a pretty stock standard start. Both teams have played a no spares behind the ball, even number forward line.
Here we go, second quarter at City Oval, the McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League preliminary final as part of the Carlton Draft Series for 2022. O'Shea taking the ground and will pick himself up from the contest. The umpire comes in for another ball up.
If anything, it appears the Swans are moving their numbers up the ground to open up their forward line slightly here with the breeze.
Yeah, they certainly have a bit of space inside 50, don't they? And as we've discussed at length, the quality of players they do have inside 50, and Hooper and Gibson will certainly pose some real headaches for Sebastopol. Richardson Powling over the top. Kick smothered there from Sebas. And taken over the boundary. No, not quite, as we see Domick take possession. And now it's over the boundary. Looks like a rugby try there on that occasion. I think the Storm are in action tonight.
Yes. Be interesting to say probably a poor finish to the season by the Storm.
Yes, one of those things once again when you've got your best player sideline. But here's the takeaway from Veal. Sends his side forward. He'll get another opportunity. Throws it on the boot once again. Continued efforts. Here's Keeble. Nice gather. Tried to offload to Hill. Gets the handball out. Keeble will take it back. Veal again. So all the same names occurring in that little string of play, and ultimately the ball over the boundary line, some 25 metres around from the Sebas scoring zone.
Yeah, Veal can be, I think, a somewhat underrated player, but his ability to follow up there and get his hands on it 3 times in that way passage of play was really good to ensure we get a stoppage inside the 50 for Sebas.
Sebas will just want to see if they can keep it inside 50 as long as they possibly can and chew up some time and score as Dummett gets the handball out to the advantage of Keeble. Can't gather. Looked like he might have copped one around the shoulder. The umpire said play on. Now Sebas. Oh, it was a low kick and it was cut off there on that occasion by Nick Waitman. So Waitman with a very short option. Van der Heuvel. Just asking the umpire if Mr. Keeble's actually adhering to the mark as he should be. Van der Heuvel on that lovely, stylish left foot. Swans with an opportunity, the ball over the boundary line. Why is it the left footers look just that little bit more stylish? Like left-handed batsmen look a little more stylish, don't they?
I'm not sure. It is aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and unfortunately I'm not a left footer myself, but they are nice to watch.
I'm sure you developed the use of both sides of the body across the course of your AFL career.
Just to get me out of trouble.
A lot of players don't nowadays. As we know, Veal once again sends his team forward, and the mark's taken by the diving Jed Hill. Hill. Oh, O'Shea will receive the handball. Swans attempt to close him down. He comes back inside. Cassidy takes a good mark. 40 metres out from goal, 45-degree angle. Tough sort of shot, though, one would imagine, for Cassidy coming up.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be nearly straight into the teeth of the breeze. Be looking to get some numbers back here on the last line if I was Swans. If it does drop short, to be at the fall of the ball.
Get the big boys back on the line. Cassidy comes in. It's going to be falling a little bit short. It was headed across the face anyway and through for a minor score. So the advantage is 20 points to Sebastopol. They've done pretty well across the opening few minutes of this second term. They've certainly been able to retain a bit of possession certainly in their front half. 4-8-32 plays 2 straight 12.
Just is it going to be their ability to capitalise? They've had a number of shots, and as myself at East Point we found out a number of weeks ago, if your inability to kick goals can cost you the game.
Sure can. as the kick comes out nice and wide, commentary side of the ground, and this is Taylor Sutton, who progresses by foot and finds Waitman. Waitman inboard. Well, that's really precise. Garner offloads to Liston, streaming forward. Gibson the target, and wearing him like a glove is Riley O'Keefe for the ball over the boundary line, some 35 metres around from the Swans scoring zone. Quick transition.
That was a nice bit of ball movement. I think Mallington's been a real prime mover early in this second quarter, and I think if Liston had his time again, he would have maybe looked to hit the free inside 50 there instead of being sucked in the kick to Gibson deep in the pocket.
Plenty of players back in the Swans 50 right now. Cassidy takes possession, and he's taken by Maple on this occasion. And the ball up, 45-degree angle out from goal, right on 50. Swans in attack. Powling. Cassidy taken to ground. Now an opportunity for the Swans, looking for the corridor. Bouncing footy. Ball spills out to the advantage of Dawson. One way, then the other. Does he get it away in time? No, the umpire says not. And the Sebastopol defenders just let him know about it too. I'll tell you what, Veals had plenty of the football in this second term to begin. Keeble's his target. He was sandwiched between a couple of Swans and is a little disappointed in himself for not taking the grab ball over the boundary line.
Yeah, Veals had a hot start to the quarter. That'd be about his fifth or sixth touch of the footy in the first 5 minutes. I think Cassidy, getting the attention he does week in, week out, frees up Veal around stoppages.
And he's not someone that you would normally expect to be clocking up possessions quite as readily as he is right at the moment, but he's certainly capitalising, as you say, on the fact that Cassidy has become a major focus for the Swans.
Yeah, correct. He's just flying under the radar.
Powling once again wins to his team's advantage. Kennedy bounces over the boundary line 50 metres around from the Swans scoring zone. 4:8:32 plays two straight 12. 6.5 minutes gone, and Sebas won't be too disappointed with the way they've been able to clog things up to this point in time.
Yes, no doubt. Turn into a scrap, take away that outside uncontested play by the Swans.
Cassidy to Veal once again. Veal at the bottom of the pack. He's held up in the tackle.
Ballarat would be really wanting to get Domick into the game. He's a bit of their X factor, similar to Keeble for Sebas. They struggle to get his hands on it thus far.
We saw it earlier, stoppages, the way the Swans were really able to open up their attacking 50, but right at the moment there's a lot of congestion around the football. And it is turning into a real scrap. That was Veal and Cassidy threw it on the boot, and unfortunately for him, caught the outside, wasn't able to curl it back into the field of play, and the Swans are going to have it at left half forward. Tristan Maple. He wheels around to the right. Kicks to that left forward pocket. It's a tough one, but it's a good mark. Taken by the Swans. This is Reece Perry. So he's hard up against the boundary line, and he's going to go with that 45-degree angle kick.
Be almost the hardest shot on the ground here today, I think, from here in this pocket.
Wheels around and he catches the middle of the football, sends it right across the face. Didn't get anywhere near the scoring zone, but the ball is certainly alive. Gibson swings onto his left and sends it across the face and through for a minor score. And so that's the first blemish on the scoreboard for Ballarat. They move along to 2-1-13. They trail Sebastopol 4-8-32. And the margin is 19 points in our preliminary final. Good distance with the kick from Sebas. Comes to the commentary side of the ground. Chase Dummett throws it on his left. But sitting under it is Nick Waitman. Waitman, well, he's gone to a one-on-one in the corridor, which is really dangerous because, in fact, it's going to be Medwell that wins it to his team's advantage. Retreats with the handball. Now they'll go up the corridor. Good use of the body by Sebas, or was it? No, it wasn't, because, in fact, it's an infringement in the marking duel.
I think that was just a bit of a brain fade there by Waitman. He's had a really good start to the quarter, but I'm sure he'd like his time again there.
Yeah, wasn't it? A great option. Here's another one-on-one, but In fact, Cassidy's been led to the football on this occasion by Kennedy. Now the kick towards half forward. That's a good mark by Hooper. Plays on immediately into the corridor. And finds Perry. And that's class. The mark and the precision kick.
Really good use of the body. Got his opponent on the wrong side of the ball and was able to run him under it and loop back around, and a really nice inside 50 kick to give Perry a shot at goal. 35 out straight in front.
Well, I dare say Perry will much prefer this opportunity than his previous one, and he'll certainly want to do better as he comes in now. He'll kick from directly in front and step just inside the 50-metre arc to shoot to the city end of City Oval. He comes in now and kicks truly. Perry's booted his first. That's the third for Ballarat. Sebastopol lead 4-8-32. Ballarat 3-1-19. The margin sits at 13 points.
Yeah, and hopefully that starts to see the play open up a little bit here. Now we're getting into the middle part of the second quarter. Fatigue starting to kick in before a break at half time, and hopefully we see some more uncontested play because it's been a bit of a scrap thus far.
As the ball's back in the middle of City Oval. Kick forward comes from Hutt. Didn't travel any great distance. Swans have turned it over and straight up the guts on this occasion by Sebas. They fly. Not able to take possession, Sebastopol. So it's the Swans that can repel using the commentary side of the ground. Awkward bounce there on that occasion for Hutt. And a pack forms and we'll have a ball up. And we've seen the importance of superior fitness, and I think that's where Melton has had such an enormous advantage this year. Their second halves across the course of this season have been enormous, haven't they?
Yeah, I know in both occasions we played Melton that they were able to blow us out of the park in third quarters. The first time we played them, I think they kicked 9 goals to nothing, and then, as I mentioned earlier, we all know that third quarter, the last game of the year, where they kicked 14 goals.
I wonder if that'll play a part in today's game as the Swans go forward up the corridor once again. Perry flies, couldn't haul it in. Oh, the umpire's paid a free kick. And it's going to go to the sharp-shooting Hooper, who loves a goal. And he will have just a slight angle with which to contend and will kick for his second. His first one came right on the quarter-time siren. And an opportunity to bring this back to a single-digit game. So here's Hooper. Kicks from 35, sets it out to the right. Does it come back? It doesn't come back enough. And a minor score, and 2 straight kicks separate the teams. 4-8-32 plays 3-2-20.
Waitman's ability to free himself up here in the first 10 minutes of this quarter, I think he's taken 2 or 3 intercept marks and got his hand on a number of times. He would have that one he'd like back, but it didn't hurt them in the end. He's been a really prime mover.
And Hoops, no doubt, will say, I've learned a lesson out of that kick, and maybe the wind isn't going to bring the ball back quite as much as he anticipated. As Sebastopol come to the commentary side of the ground, Powling fists it away, taken by his opposing number 6 in Hill. Widgery. The Swans by hand. One way, then the other. Mellington. In fact, Waitman. Nice gather. Veal once again. It's been so very good today. James throws it on the boot. Just get it down there. Perry, front position. Positioned himself really nicely there. He's got a one-on-one. Gibson sets himself. Can't take possession. Sebas, do well. True. Works it out by hand. And Chase Dummett will take the mark at right half-back. Dummett has a short option, perilously close to the boundary. The Swans appeal for an on the full, but the mark's taken by Forbes. 32 plays 20. Using the commentary line. Van Hoovel flies, ball fisted away over the boundary line right in front of us in the commentary position.
Interesting to see the difference in tactics. Sebas have opted to come out of back 50 on the grandstand side of the ground in this quarter, whereas in the first quarter, Ballarat, everything went out the far side of the ground.
Yeah, sure did. Interesting. Good observation, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of bearing that has on the game. Was well judged by True there on that occasion. Has it right half back. There's a left footer. Moves it forward. Forbes. Hill was part of the action, so too Richards, and the ball over the boundary line. Gibson, Hooper, Perry, the goal kickers for Ballarat. Hutt, Veal, Forbes and Hill on the board for Sebastopol.
We'll see Waitman free himself up here again at this stoppage. Sebast electing to push one in to be an extra at the source.
Dummett can't progress and he'll hand it back to the umpire. A little bit of push and shove between Widgery and James. Veal throws on the boot and unfortunately catches the outside of the boot. That's over the boundary line for a Swans free kick. They'll go down the line. James, quick release handball. Out to the advantage of Fife. Fife inside 50. Gibson front position. Ball fisted away. Hooper front and square. Sebast do well. Happy to see it over the boundary line. A couple of the boys want to go on with a little bit of push and shove. "16 minutes gone in the second quarter of our preliminary final. Veal once again has his kick partially smothered, can't get it away. There's Fife, he's the extractor. Only so far as O'Shea, who has a bit of a fumble. Then Powling, back to Fife. Quickly throwing it on the boot was Garner. Fisted away by the Sebast defence. Swans have the numbers. James slips as he takes possession and he's taken over the boundary line. Oh, he's deemed not to have disposed. It's a bit like the Jake Lever of last night, wasn't it, really?
Very interesting call, that one.
So Sebast, and the wind really catching that one, holding up in the breeze. Swans. Throwing in on the boot, Sebastopol. Van der Heuvel gets the handball away hurriedly. Fisher trying to burst through as Prendergast. Here's Dummett, he's taken high. This might have dropped a little there and read the situation pretty well, didn't he, Chase Dummett?
Yeah, just dropped the knees. Absorbed the pressure and rewarded with a free kick.
In reading his Joel Selwood textbook beautifully. O'Shea, well, that covered just the necessary distance, and I wondered whether O'Shea sensed that might have been a bit on the short side. Almost went, didn't he?
About 7 metres, I reckon, that kick.
Yeah, he was ready to go, wasn't he, O'Shea? The big leap from Van der Heuvel, but didn't judge it quite as well as Toby Hutt, who marks and now sends it towards half forward. Swans get the numbers back. Yeah, it's a good mark. That's your man, Domic. He's the one that you want to see a little more of.
Yeah, he's that X factor for Ballarat and usually pops up with 2 or 3 goals from week to week, and I'm sure they'd like to have it in his hands a little bit more, especially in the front half of the ground.
I was going to say, he's certainly spending a lot of time down back right at the moment. Now, True will run onto it. Evades a tackle, ducks his head. Now he's held up and he coughs up the free kick, and that's pretty well done by Big Powling. Powling read that one well.
They've tended to be kicked this deep into the pocket. I'd like to see him take it off the line and open up the space. The wind just pops it in the pocket, out of bounds, stoppage, really hard to score.
It's happened repeatedly, hasn't it, down there?
Yeah, time and time again, every entry they've had has gone into that dead pocket.
Are we aiming for the muddy patch there around centre half forward? Are we trying to get it out there? Top the square type stuff?
Open it up. I see Perry kicked that goal from there early in the quarter. Just gives you a better look and much easier to score.
Dummett throws it on the boot. Front position is Bailey Fraser. Takes the mark. Some 65 metres out from goal. He thumps it long, and once again the wind will take it, but that's probably better, intended for where exactly Jackson Merritt's described. A little bit closer anyway. Certainly not too deep into that what's a dead pocket essentially, isn't it?
Yes, very hard to score. Back into the breeze.
Which may just be picking up a little bit, the breeze here at the City Oval. There's a lot of players around the football right at the moment. O'Shea had a bit of a fumble. Dummett, rugged stuff from the Borough's defender. Ball fisted away, front and square with the Swans. Retreating with the handball, Fisher. Now an opportunity for big Powling. He handballs.
Well done by Liston.
Yeah, Liston throws it on the boot. This is dangerous, but good work by Sebastopol. The defence standing tall there on that occasion.
Sebastopol be really happy with this. They're just being able to make stoppage, get it wide, get the ball out of bounds. Really take away Ballarat's ability to score with the breeze in this term.
4-8-32 plays 3-2-20. Two straight kicks separating the sides as we tick towards the 20-minute mark of our preliminary final as part of our Carlton Draft Series for 2022. And the Ballarat Toyota Match of the Day. Hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you're watching. Sebastopol, if they can move it forward, there's plenty of open space, obviously, as we see the mark taken by Hugo Pabst, who's a returnee this week after being out with an illness last week. This is Lockie Cassidy, the reigning Henderson medalist. Uses the stand rule to his advantage. Kick towards half forward. Swans through James. Inspirational captain only so far as Lockie Cassidy. Short option to True. He in turn pops it up for the advantage of Toby Hutt. Hutt wheels around to the right. He goes with a slightly longer kick. Ball fisted away. Here's O'Shea. Can he gather possession? He can't because the Swans are able to repel. A chain of handballs will bring it away from half back. Kick towards Perry, and that's just got a little too much weight on it. It's over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in on centre wing. Commentary side of the ground. 4-8-32 plays 3-2-20.
Hutt's definitely taken the chocolates so far in that matchup between him and Van der Heuvel. Van der Heuvel has struggled to get his hands on it, as I mentioned earlier in the coverage. He's misjudged the time, his leap, as the ball's come into the D50.
And as I mentioned earlier, he was certainly one of the better players for the Ballarat Swans in their loss to Melton. And he could certainly put his hand up as one of the best presented. As we'll have another ball up. It'll be interesting to see with Melton in the grand final on a different surface. They're obviously a formidable opponent on most games, on most grounds, but McPherson Park is clearly their favourite, and they've had a couple of finals there. They've done very well. Mars Stadium may be just a slightly different proposition.
Yeah, that home ground advantage, and I think they play in these sort of conditions most weeks. I know when we played them down there early in the year, it was very windy, and they played it really well.
Ball over the boundary line once again. We're still obviously to find who they will be playing, as two straight kicks separate these two sides, but with 23 minutes gone in this second quarter, the Swans would be hoping to grab another one would think, and Sebastopol equally so, just hoping to repel, and they're doing a pretty good job of it so far.
It has been a bit of a nothing half thus far. It's no exciting run down the wing. It's been very much a contested game.
I just wonder if the surface might be, as much as it looks terrific, whether it might be just a little bit softer than perhaps a lot of the players have been accustomed to with the rain that's fallen. Here's Widgery, looping handball over the top to Cassidy. Cassidy works his way back in towards the central corridor, finds a teammate. Kick forward, oh no, unfortunately for Sebast, breaks down once again. And this is Swain.
That's one player Sebast to be looking to get involved in the game is Keeble. He's at a relatively quiet start.
A little bit starved of opportunities, really, Keeble. Hill taken over the boundary line. Umpire says we'll have a ball in. 24 minutes gone in our second quarter of our Ballarat Toyota match of the day. 32 plays 20. Sebast going down in the reserves. 15-17 Sunbury. Sebastopol 2-8-20. And Sebastopol free kick. It's going to be Adam Forbes. Forbes on centre wing, commentary side of the ground, really short option. And marking out in front is Liam Stowe. He'll go back to Forbes. Just probably don't mind soaking up a little bit of time now, Sebast, do they?
Yeah, take some time out of the clock and just get them through to half-time with the lead.
Going with a greater distance on this occasion. Here's Keeble. Releases Widgery, steams into goal, 25 minutes out, kicks the goal! Well, terrific work by Sebastopol. They boot their fifth, that's Widgery, and that's almost against the flow of play.
Definitely, I think Keeble's ability just to be clean there. Some other players, some are more inexperienced, may have fumbled that. His ability to be clean, pump out a handball to another player in space to make sure it's a certain goal.
Widgery joins Hutt, Veal, Forbes and Hill on the goal kickers list as Sebastopol move along to 5-8-38. They lead by 18 points over Ballarat, 3-2-20. Actually picked their way forward pretty well there on that occasion, didn't they, Sebast?
Yeah, just take some flow out of the game and get it back on their terms. Something they did really well in the first quarter, that kick mark style of play.
Well, they'll go forward once again. Hutt and Widgery, there's a clash of a couple of players. I reckon two Sebastopol players. In fact, no, Van der Heuvel seems hurt as well, but two Sebastopol players are down. That's Hutt, and it's also Jai Harvey. Van der Heuvel's a bit worse for wear too. He's very proppy. He went with a short option. The umpire says, no, Bailey, you need to have that kick again, but Toby Hutt does not look too good at all. Although he's limping away from the contest, maybe Jai Harvey's the biggest concern for the Boroughs right at the moment. Now everybody's up on their feet. And Sebast, with an 18-point advantage, will seek to defend these final few minutes of this second quarter as Van der Heuvel comes out wide to the commentary side of the ground and probably sums up a little bit of his day so far.
Yeah, been very lacklustre.
So this is Austin. Austin heads towards the hot spot, and Van der Heuvel does well there on that occasion.
Chance to redeem himself.
Yep. He's got a chance to rectify the situation. He kicks with good distance there on this occasion. Heads in the Powling direction. Ball fisted to ground. Here's Austin over the boundary line. 5-8 plays 3-2. 27 minutes gone in the second term of our preliminary final. Fisted away by Richards and Dummett at ground level. Powling reaches over the top on this occasion. James taken without possession. That's going to be a free kick the way of Tristan Maple. Retreats with the kick. Fraser. Inside defensive 50. Uses the commentary line. This is Prendergast. Thought about Liston, but now wheels around to the right. Good distance with a kick. Perry, second in line. Couldn't mark. Sebast at ground level. Keel goes to ground. Throwing himself was Banbury. Throwing himself on it. And rewarded as the Swans probably a little bit indiscriminate there in their attempt to tackle. He's a player that likes to run with a footy. We haven't seen it so much this game, but well, there he is. He runs off around the mark there on that occasion. Powling fists it away. Sebast through the agency of Matt Austin. Kick towards half forward. That duel continues to impress, and it's Hutt that continues to win it He goes towards the corridor now. Widgery, the target. He was a little bit too focused on his opponent. He has an opportunity now, Widgery. Got the fumbles, does get a little kick away towards the pocket. Swans will do well. There's the siren. The siren for half-time sounds at the City Oval after 29 minutes in the second term. And at the main break, it is going to be Sebastopol leading by 18 points. Sebastopol 5-8-38, Ballarat 3-2-20. Our goal kickers for Sebastopol, all individual goal kickers, Hutt, Veal, Forbes, Hill in the first term. Widgery kicked their solitary goal in the second term. And for Ballarat, it's Gibson, Hooper and Perry. So Jackson Merritt, your assessment of the game so far, now that we have seen both sides kick with the aid of the breeze to the city end of City Oval here at Ballarat.
I think Ballarat would be really disappointed with the second half of that second term. They seemed to have it in their front half pretty much for the whole of that first half of the part of the quarter, and they weren't able to capitalise. And I think my comments, them kicking it to that dead pocket, nullified their ability to score, and Sebastopol would have been really happy to just turn it into a repeat stoppage, get it out of bounds, be able to inch their way forward. And then as the quarter progressed, they were able to own the ball again on that outside and kick the goal late in the term and put the lead out to an even 3 goals. But some of the prime movers there, I thought Waitman's ability to intercept in the front half of that quarter for Ballarat was really good, and Veal's ability to get his hands on it around the stoppage and move it forward for Sebas were probably the two key players on the ground.
So at half-time in our McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League preliminary final as part of our 2022 Carlton Draft Finals Series, our Ballarats were out a match of the day. Sebastopol 5-8-38, Ballarat 3-2-20. We'll be back after our McCafe Ballarat half-time break. Welcome back to City Oval. We're about to get underway in the second half. Sebastopol 5-8-38 leading Ballarat 3-2-20 with Wes Cusworth and Jackson Merritt. And I was talking to a couple of people in the crowd, and no doubt you were too at half-time, and a few people were saying they kind of felt that it was a little bit flat across the course of the first half. And look, the game has the potential to really explode here because obviously only 3 goals separate the two sides. And we saw that last night in the AFL, didn't we, with a fairly lacklustre first half and an extraordinary second half.
Yeah, and to start the term off here, it looks like Ballarat have elected to put a spare behind the ball. Whether that's to nullify the wind or generate some ball movement, it looks like it's Waitman.
Ball thrown up, Powling and Richards. And as the Swans go forward, but repelled once again by Keel on this occasion, sends it out wide. And the ball over the boundary line to be thrown in.
And they've swung some magnets around here. Van der Heuvel's gone forward and Perry's gone back to play on Hutt. Just 2 that I can see to start the term.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, Van der Heuvel, being such a big man, can create a real tall target for the Swans heading into attack.
And Keel looks like he's trying to drop off and stand in front of Van der Heuvel to help out with that height deficit that Sandown is facing.
Here's an opportunity for the Swans. Domic dispossessed. Ball over the boundary line. Once again, he's a bit of an X factor, isn't he? We'd like to see some good footy from him.
Yeah, it looks like Crone's spent a bit of time on him today and following around the ground and trying to nullify his influence on it, whether that be through the midfield or up forward.
Powling takes it out of the ruck, taken to ground. Swans, quick release handball. Liston throws it on the boot. Sitting underneath it is Prendergast. Takes a good mark. Hurriedly moves it forward as he wheels around to the right. Kicks towards the top of the square. The big leak comes from O'Shea. Good defensive action by Sebas. Really proactive start by the Swans, though, even in these few minutes. Powling had first grab, couldn't retain possession. Pack form 60 metres out from the Swans' goal. Will have a ball up. That's Richards with front position. Sebas with a takeaway, but the kick is a bit of a kick and hope there on that occasion. And the Swans have it defensive side of centre. Short option, Liston.
Frades is the loose behind the ball here for Swans. I would have really liked to see him go through the middle of the ground. He ran out wide to try and get his hands on it.
Cassidy grabbed high. The reigning Henderson medalist wins himself a free kick at right half back. Such a terrific player. Good penetration with the kick. Mark taken. Wheeling around and now heading towards the corridor. O'Shea's there. In fact, that's a really good mark taken by Maple. Sandwiched between a couple of Sebas players. Kick comes out wide. Here's Hooper. Creative. Gets his kick away. 1-on-1. Van der Heuvel front position. Sebas do very well indeed. That was Grady Snowden. Haven't seen a lot of him, Snowden. Bit of a role player, isn't he, for Sebas?
Yeah, I think that's across the board. They just have some good players that are willing to sacrifice their role and shut down when they have to, and they've got no sort of out-and-out superstars other than the familiar names of Keel, Lockyer, Cassidy. The rest of them are just happy to play their role for the team.
So O'Shea went to punch there on that occasion. Probably could have comfortably marked that one, but you never quite know what's coming from behind, do you? Boundary umpire comes into action once again. Little shallow throw in there on that occasion. Powling as the ball bounces and sits for him. Liston throws it on the left. Van der Heuvel fisted away by Snowden cleverly. Liston once again. Now Garner. And Keel provides some support. Short option, Cassidy. At defensive 45. Inside in the ascendancy by 18 points. Oh man, encroaching close was Hooper. He was good enough to get his kick away. Was Cassidy. Outer side of the ground. deemed to have not disposed adequately. Sebastopol, the free kick goes the way of the Swans. On centre wing, outer side of the ground. Approaching the 5-minute mark of our third term. Diving mark by Liston. It's been quite good today. The lead comes. Oh, Mark spilt there on that occasion by Hooper. Van Hoovel copped one high. Holds the face. Veal, who was very good in that second term, offloads by hand to O'Shea. Kicks to the outer side of the ground. That was Jai Harvey. And now Sebas going forward. On the burst, the kick on goal from Sebas is missing to the left. Might have been Keeble, I suspect.
Yes, Keeble. Being able to get his hands on it a couple of times early in this term.
He's an exciting player.
His just ability to keep his feet there. His opponent sort of worked him under the ball, but was first to land on his feet and get back on it and present himself with an opportunity with a shot on goal. Unfortunately, unable to capitalise.
Fraser with the kick-in responsibilities goes to the outer side of the ground. Good distance with the kick. Powling back inboard. Chain of handballs for the Swans, and they escape defensive 50. And just waiting and taking a good mark. This is Sebastopol using the corridor, just overcooking the kick. And they'll turn it over. Now sweeping up the corridor with the handball was Swain, and then his recipient sends it out wide. Kick towards half forward and on full stretch. This is Garner. Garner goes in the Gibson direction. He's sandwiched between a couple of Sebastopol defenders and carried over the line. And we'll have a boundary throw in some 45 metres around from the Swans' goal.
Ballarat are really setting up well behind the ball, but it is impacting them when they are moving the ball forward. Sebastopol obviously got their numbers back. They're able to intercept mark or drop off in front of Gibson, Hooper, Van der Heuvel and repel those entries.
Real arm wrestle at the moment. Domick doing the ruck work for the Swans inside attacking 50. There's Banbury, Cassidy, Veal, who's been very good today for Sebastopol. Real good kick, the leap from Keeble, almost held it, didn't quite. Forbes throws it on the boot, running the same direction of the football. Taking a good mark is Bailey Medwall. Now Medwall's got a fair bit of space in front of him. Goes in the Hutt direction. And Reece Perry did pretty well there on that occasion.
Yeah, just locked Hutt up. Wasn't able to get a run and jump at it, given his height advantage.
20 points separate the two sides. 5-10 plays 3-2. So inaccuracy will be very interesting to see if it ever comes back to haunt Sebas today. This is Perry. Up and under kick. Really holds up in the breeze. Veal once again waiting at the back of the pack. Throws it on the left. Nice gather on the half volley by Keeble. Spills the handball out to the advantage of a teammate. Then waiting in the corridor was Medwall. Ball fisted away. Liston, little kick forward. Taken by True. Now an opportunity for Veal. Tries to back out of trouble. Hutt. That's Ben Hutt. Awkward bouncing sort of football, and probably not a bad result for Sebastopol, as it's going to be thrown in the left forward pocket. At least they've got it locked inside their 50, and they lead by 20 points some 8 minutes into this third term. That's Hutt doing the ruck work inside. Sorry, in fact, Richards it was, doing the ruck work inside 50. Here's O'Shea. Umpire was quite satisfied there on that occasion that Forbes hadn't run out of bounds, and what have we decided? That is on the full. So players continuing to be drawn to that left forward pocket. It's a real dead pocket here at the City Oval. Swans. Maple combines with Perry. Perry uses the outer side of the ground.
We see that again there. Sebas really well set up behind the ball.
Yeah, Luke Kewell reading that one like a book. Here comes Sebas. with a long shot on goal and missing to the near side. 5-11-41. 21-point leaders over Ballarat 3-2-20. Big hello to everybody watching us all around the world on the World Wide Web in our Ballarat Toyota live stream coverage, courtesy of the expertise of the Red Onion creative team. Short option. Perry once again. He goes back to Swain. Swain's back to where he started. Once again, he goes with a short option. Carter Prendergast. He uses the outer side of the ground. Sebas win it back, but dispossessed. And Domic takes possession and he's wrapped up. And we'll have another ball up between half forward and centre wing. Dummett in the action, bottom of the pack, which is pretty typical of him. He's a very rugged player. But a rare one for the team, and the ball over the boundary line once again. Powling second in line. Over the top. Sebas do the crumbing. Kick inside 50. And it's Swain. Short option. Continuing to soak up a fair bit of time, Ballarat. Just attempting to retain possession. Corridor stuff now. This is Perry. Picking their way forward. Wormburner and finds Liston. So Will Liston. He plays on. Swings it out wide. Got a man in a fair bit of space. Held up by Cassidy. Swain calls for it in the midfield. Oh, overcooked on that occasion. It still might work for the Swans though. Domic. Over the shoulder. Free kick goes the way of the Swans now. Opportunity for Swain. Goes inside 50 with the kick and finds Hooper.
It was probably what Ballarat needed at the time, is that take that little bit of a risk, similar to Collingwood, jam it through the corridor, let something unfold and not develop naturally. They have been very composed with the ball in their back half, unwilling to take risks, and they missed that target, but it has opened up and presented them with a shot at goal here.
Andrew Hooper, he's a beautiful shot for goal typically. He comes in now, he sets sail for the big sticks and it's across the face, misses to the far side. It's the first score of the quarter for Ballarat. They move along to 3-3-21 and they trail by 20 points. Sebastopol 5-11-41. But with 12 and a half minutes gone and trailing by just 20 points, Ballarat probably won't be terribly alarmed. They'll be pretty happy with the way things have gone to this point in time because there's not been a great deal of damage done. Here's Keeble at half back. Goes long with the kick. Hutt spills a mark. Gave a little bit of a nudge there on that occasion. Perry. Sebastopol. Medwell was in the action. Numbers get back for the Swans. Perry has been quite prominent in this term. Opportunity for Chase Dummett. Gets around one, goes two, kicks the goal! Wow, out of the blue, Chase Dummett. What a cracking goal. And almost looked like he miskicked that one on that occasion, but had enough behind it that it actually bounced and went the journey and kicks exactly what Sebastopol are pursuing, and that is their first goal of the third term. They move along to 6-11-47, 26-point leaders over Ballarat 3-3-21.
Again, it was Dummett's ability to absorb that pressure, not collapse in the tackle, withstand it, and then present himself with a shot at goal, and was able to capitalise on this occasion.
So Dummett becomes the sixth individual goal kicker for Sebastopol. Ballarat will go forward. Here's Hooper. Gets the handball out to the advantage of Van der Heuvel. He swings onto the left. Awkward bouncing football for the defence of Sebastopol, but they do pretty well. Composed effort. Crone kicks to the outer side of the ground. Mellington. Van der Heuvel was the target. Does well at ground level for a big fella. Having their kick smothered there on that occasion, the Swans laying a tackle is Domick, deemed to be over the shoulder. 47 plays 21 as we approach the midway mark of the third term. Might not be a long quarter. We've only seen the one goal. Swans mark just outside 50. Oh, the kick's overcooked, and this is O'Shea. He can really open things up for a relatively open Sebastopol front half. Hugo Pabst goes in the... Well, I thought he was going in the Hutt direction, but it was missing that target. Eventually it does come to Hutt, and Sebastopol have turned it over with a Perry tackle, eliciting an ineffective disposal. James Keeble ready to have a shot on goal there. Comes out wide. This is Fisher. Fisher with a bit of an up and under. Van der Heuvel stands tall, although can't hold the mark. Harvey has it on centre wing. Called to play on. Inside 50. Fisher got across, spilt the mark, but did well to grab it at ground level. Little casual in the approach there on that occasion. Opens the door for Lockie Cassidy. His shot on goal is true. Second goal of the quarter for Sebas. Cassidy joins the individual goal kickers, and the Boroughs move along to 7-11-53. Now 32-point leaders over Ballarat, 3-3-21.
Sebas just appear to be covering the ground a lot better than Ballarat are, and able to capitalise. They've slowed Swans' ball movement down, and it was only a matter of time before they were able to force a turnover and convert. And it's got out to that sticky situation now. 5 goals. Ballarat are going to have to start take some more risks with the ball in hand.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little worrying for the Swans right now. They haven't played like a team that's going to be able to boot 6 or 7 goals in the last quarter to win it. They've only booted through to this point of the game, so they really need to do something now. Pull a couple back. Cassidy with a real up and under. Sky-high stuff. Fisted away by Fisher. Now at ground level. Garner got it out to the advantage of a teammate. And a couple of the players just waited on that one to bounce out of bounds. A very casual approach. And ultimately it does go out of bounds. 7-11-53 Sebastopol lead Ballarat 3-3-21. 17 and a half minutes gone in the third quarter of our preliminary final. Powling. Cassidy is wrapped in the tackle and made a belated attempt to demonstrate to the umpire that he was actually trying to get it out. The umpire was quite accepting of that. Sebas go forward once again. Big fly. Ball sits for Pabst. Gathers, wheels around onto the right. He's got a man in space and he finds a target. Well, this is Adam Forbes. He kicked one. He might become the first Sebastopol multiple goal kicker. It's becoming a little bit easy for Sebas right at the moment.
Yeah, Ballarat back half starting to unravel. Had options, 2, 3 spare Sebas players in their forward 50.
So Forbes will kick from just 30 metres out. He comes in now to the city end and he kicks truly. Sebas stretched the advantage out to 38 points. They edge along to 8-11-59, leading Ballarat 3-3-21. Okay, what does the Ballarat Swans combination need to do right now?
Oh, look, I think they've got arguably their 3 best players playing deep forward, and over the course of the day, the ball hasn't lived down there long enough. You've got Gibson, Hooper and Van der Heuvel, and they've had no real impact on the game. Yes, they've kicked 2 of their 3 goals. But whether you have to swing a Van der Heuvel into the ruck, get him involved in the game, and either throw Hooper up around the footy for 5 or 10 minutes.
Gibbo with a little bit of a niggle Is he worth pushing up centre-half forward, something like that?
Yeah, possibly. And even makes the Sebastopol back line have to think something differently, move O'Keefe out from that last line where he's pretty comfortable.
Well, they go forward again, Sebastopol. That was Keeble sending his team forward. The Swans working really hard to repel across the last line. The Swans might be able to escape now with a sweeping handball out wide, but once again misses its target. Fortunately, there's ample time for the Swans to progress to the commentary side of the ground. Dawson, Garner, kick towards half forward and the mark taken by Hooper. Hooper kicked to goal right on quarter time. Heads into the right pocket, bounces just inside the line, not quite connecting on that occasion, the Swans. And they trail by 38 points. 20 minutes into the third term.
On occasion when Dawson come off half-back, he looked up and seen nothing but Sebast jumpers. It's maybe a matter of Ballarat having to even those numbers up ahead of the ball, give them an option to kick to.
Prendergast, kick towards a hot spot. Gibson. And we're going to have another ball up right at the top of the square for the Ballarat Swans, deep in attack, really desperately needing to pull one or two back in the latter stages of this third term if they're going to have any chance to progress to next week's decider. Massive players around the football. Sebas happy to congest it. And we'll have another stoppage. So the Sebas crowd will be pretty happy with what they're seeing at the moment. They clear from the last line. Ball comes out very wide and it bounces conveniently just inside the line for Sebas. And we'll be thrown in some 65 metres around from the Swan scoring zone. 21 and a half minutes gone in the third term of our Carlton Draft preliminary final. Ballarat Toyota match of the day. Veal dispossessed. And Sebas a little off target there on that occasion, coughing it up. And so the Swans will have an opportunity to press forward. And so too the Sebas defenders will press back. And pretty much everybody else wearing a Sebas jumper right now, congesting that Ballarat Swans forward line. Lawson Prendergast sends his team forward. There's Banbury. Cassidy streams away, takes a bounce, sweeping handball over the top. Stowe wants to go back to Cassidy. By this time, the Swans defenders have converged on him and create a real contest. And we're going to have a ball up right almost in the middle of City Oval.
Keel's leadership behind the ball in this term has been really, really important. Provide a steady head. And being able to get his hands on the ball on a number of occasions as well.
He's a fine player. Got a great reputation around town. Richards, Powling. Cassidy, quick hands. Throwing it on the boot was Medwell. Dangerous territory now for the Swans. Pabst was the target. Keeble. Now Sebas, kick towards the square. Oh, diving attempt at marking. That was really desperate sort of stuff there by Forbes. Now the Swans an opportunity to repel the defensive pressure inside 50. Taken by Forbes. Missed the target with the handball. Widgery. And we'll have a ball up. Got some really tough players, Sebas, haven't they? They're really prepared to throw their body in. Widgery's amongst them. Veal. Chase Dummett. And there's a hold, and it's going to go the way of the Swans, Powling, the recipient of the free kick. 30 from defensive goal. Up the corridor. Liston takes possession. Streams away. Little more open space at the moment. Domick. Gibson doing well. Ben True. Works it out wide. This is Austin. happy to take his time. Just a little more composed at the moment, aren't they, Sebas?
Yeah, they look like they've got it all on their terms. Even when it goes inside forward 50, they look like they're going to score on every occasion. Everything Ballarat do looks really difficult to slog. Nothing's coming easy.
Sebas will go forward. Ballarat will go forward once again, but Sebas doing well at half-back, thumping it long, good 50-metre kick, and that's Reece Perry on full stretch, taking a really nice mark. So Perry wants to switch to the commentary side of the ground. Garner up the corridor on this occasion. Can they create something and pull a goal back? Good work by Kennedy. Offloads. Streaming forward is Waitman. That was better stuff from the Swans.
Hate to state the obvious here, but they really need this one if they're any chance going into the last quarter. Currently trailing by the 38 points. Get this back close to a 5-goal margin and give them half a sniff going into the last term.
Sam James. Captain's goal required right now. He comes in and he kicks truly. That is precisely what the Swans require. The margin back to 32 points as James joins the goal kickers list. Okay, so that was a little more system, wasn't it, from the Swans?
Yeah, I think it was that attacking the corridor, overlap handball, that risk versus reward, and at this point in the game and down by 5-6 goals, they really need to take those risks to try and claw back some momentum before we go into the final term.
We haven't seen an enormous amount of that from either side today. That was good work by the Swans. And they've got the margin back to 32 points. They will kick with the aid of the breeze in this fourth and final quarter here at City Oval, but perhaps the damage isn't done yet for Sebastopol as Widgery pumps the ball long. Oh, the ball spills to the back of the pack, taken by Hugo Pabst. He's dispossessed of the football. Mellington sweeping across the last line, comes back into the corridor. Kennedy. Short option. Oh, that was really good desperate stuff by Sebas. Not able to quite haul it in. Waitman sends it forward into the path of James once again. Kicked a goal only moments ago. What can he do this time? Spills the handball out. Getting back to provide support is Dawson. Over the top to Van der Heuvel. Can they pinch a late one? Van der Heuvel, he's shot on goal, and he does.
It's been Waitman on both occasions there. His ability to run through the middle of the ground, take the game on. It hasn't been perfect, but it's presented them with an opportunity to get a shot on goal. And we've got a game on our hands now.
That's a little more like it from Ballarat, and perhaps the word has gone out just to try to open up a little bit more space. That was Van der Heuvel, wasn't it? Correct. Kicking the goal.
Yes.
Just making sure there. With the celebrations, there was a bit of a flood of players into the action. Van der Heuvel joins the goal kickers list. All individual goal kickers for the Swans. They go forward once again. Gibson sets himself and takes the mark. Or does he? No, he doesn't. The umpire calls to play on. Once again, the pack forms over the Sharon, and we'll have another ball up. Gibson might be asking the question. Perhaps another hand in there. Yes, he does ask the question. He looks around, and 26 points separate the sides. 8-12 plays 5-3, 26 points. Well, is that insurmountable? I suspect it isn't. Siren sounds to end the third quarter of our preliminary final for the 2022 McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League season. And 8-11-59 plays 5-3-33. Let's look down the goal kickers list. And Forbes has booted too. We have singles from Hutt, Veal, Heel, Widgery, Dummett and Cassidy. For Sebastopol, for Ballarat, Gibson, Hooper, Perry, James and Van der Heuvel. Two coming in the final few minutes of that third term. And Jackson Merritt, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on the way in which that third quarter played out.
Yeah, I touched on it earlier. Keel's ability behind the ball, take a number of intercept marks, but just his leadership and presence down in the back half worked really well for Sebas. It'll be interesting to see what they do when they're faced with kicking into the breeze and what that looks like. And just great to see Ballarat take a bit more risk there towards the end of the term and take the game on, get the ball in Waitman. and Liston's hand and gave them the ability to score. So I think that's the blueprint for them moving into the final term if they've got to take the game on and take those risks to score.
So at three-quarter time, with just 1 quarter remaining in the 2022 season for one of these two teams, it is Sebastopol 8-11-59, leading Ballarat 5-3-33. We'll be back in just a few moments. Well, welcome back to City Oval as we are about to enter the final quarter for one of these two teams. The preliminary final as part of the Carlton Draft Final Series in the McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League. for 2022. You're with Wes Cusworth, and Jackson Merritt has joined me. Of course, Jackson will be coaching East Point next year, taking over the reins there after, no doubt, what was a little disappointing the way it finished, but no doubt an enjoyable football season for you in 2022.
Yeah, it was good stepping back a level, having moved back from Western Australia and really wanting to ingrain myself at a club long term, and yeah, really excited for the opportunity that presents next season and beyond to lead from the front.
Massive supporters leaving City Oval that have headed out there to listen into the coaches as they provide the inspiration for what should be a terrific fourth quarter to come. 26 points separate the two sides. Sebastopol 8-11-59, Ballarat 5-3-33. And if you're just joining us, Ballarat will kick with the aid of what we suspect is a 3-goal breeze. Is it still the way you'd assess it at the moment?
Yeah, it's probably sort of swung around, nearly sort of coming across the ground, but I'd still say there's a slight advantage down to the City end. See if Swans can capitalise on that this term.
And what do they really need to do in terms of structuring up? Because we saw a couple of effective few minutes to round out that third quarter, and we probably need to see a bit more of that in the fourth.
I can see one change. I've spoken about this player a number of times today, but Waitman's gone on the inside. I think that leg speed and ability to break lines may be the difference.
Here we go. Powling gets things underway for the Swans. Sweeping handball out wide, although it's missing its target. O'Shea takes it, and then eventually it's Garner winning it back. His kick's misguided, travels only so far as a Sebastopol opponent, and here's O'Shea back into the fray once again. Takes the mark. O'Shea sends the leaders into attack once again. Hutt spills the mark, and we will have a stoppage 45 metres out from goal with a fairly acute angle heading in the Sebastopol direction. Dropped a couple of degrees in the last half hour too, I reckon, Jackson.
Yes, it is very chilly. Standard Ballarat day.
Cassidy swung as he tries to get a kick out. Sebastopol, they're going to win themselves a free kick. It might be Jed Hill, is it?
It is, yes.
And so Jed Hill with an opportunity to make this very, very difficult for Ballarat, even at this early stage in our fourth term, as he will kick into the eye of the breeze to the western end of City Oval, but a chance to stretch the lead back out to 32 points. Jed Hill approaches the 50-metre arc. Bit of action on the goal line. Hill gets close to the man on the mark. He kicks, misses to the near side, through for a minor score. They've been a bit wasteful in front of goal, Sebastopol. 8-12, 60, 27-point leaders over Ballarat, 5-3, 33. This is Sutton. Retreats with the kick. Happy to concede ground. They're going to structure up again. Fraser chooses to go out to the other side of the ground now. Finds his skipper. Moves it on by foot. Ballarat use the outer wing. This is Waitman. Back in board with the handball. Now the run. Streaming forward is Prendergast. Kicks towards the hot spot. O'Shea drifts back with a fly to the footy. Good work by O'Keefe. Repelling. Swans a little bit too Sebast conscious there on that occasion. Let the ball get past. Keeble had to try to take it on the half volley. Trying to burst away. Wrapped up in the tackle. And we'll have a ball up 65 metres out from the Sebast goal. Powling, big leap. Running onto it was Kennedy. They concede possession. Here's Sebast. Throwing it on the boot is Medwell. Keeble took it. It was touched. Called the play on. Turning it over. Quick kick forward. Now they're out. The Swans kick towards Hooper. Takes his mark. Some 55 metres out from goal. Has the lead coming from Gibson. On full stretch. Got first grab. Couldn't take the second. Good work by O'Keefe. Hooper does very well to get across and take the mark. This time some 70 metres out from goal.
Would have really liked to see Hooper wheel around and have a shot there. 50 out, Breeze behind him, open goal square.
Well, he's got some distance with his kicks. There's no doubt about that, as demonstrated by that one, who Gibson marks at the back of the pack. Actually carried the 3 or 4 players at the front of the pack, and Gibson, waiting at the back, was able to take a chest mark. Pretty important goal from Gibson, who wants to go around the corner with this one on the left, and he kicks truly. A much-needed goal for Ballarat, and they have cut the margin back to 21 points. And that's precisely the way the Swans want to start, given that we're 4 minutes into this 4th term.
Started with that ball movement in the back line, able to possess it, get some uncontested marks, and break and open the game up on the outside with an overlap handball back through the corridor to Prendergast, and he ran and bounced, and yes, they did turn it over there, but they got another look. They were set up well behind the ball and re-entry for a shot at goal.
21 points, 60 plays, 39. Sebastopol forward once again. Running on, a nice gather. Medwall kick towards the square, but Perry in front takes the mark. Comes to the commentary side of the ground. They do need to move it on quickly. And now they're out. This is Garner. He can stream forward. Takes a bounce. Kicks long now. Goes to that pocket though. Oh, almost a mark taken. Running on is James. He can't escape the clutches of his Sebastopol opponent. And that is great desperate defence by Ben True. Oh, I thought James was just about out then. Here's True. Hugs the boundary. Keel. Keel uses the commentary wing. Cable. Couldn't take the mark. Forbes fighting hard at ground level. Does well to extract that one from the contest. And the ball over the boundary line, and there's a little bit of push and shove. And that's not so good from Mellington. Concedes a free kick the way of Jed Hill, who plays on. I'm not quite sure where he was going there on that occasion, but Perry actually doesn't gather as cleanly as he would have liked. Hart takes possession. And deemed to have had no prior opportunity.
A bit of feeling in the game now. Crowd's getting involved.
So much on the line as Melton sits and waits and watches. I know many of our Melton supporters will be watching on from home, maybe not have made the trek here today, knowing full well that the Red Onion creative team was going to provide coverage of today, and hopefully they're enjoying the spectacle. 8-12-60, plays 6-3-39, 21 points separate the two sides. Still plenty of time left. We're just ticking towards the 7-minute mark of our 4th and final term, as we'll have another ball up. Mean a great deal to Sebas, of course. This is just their 2nd final series, I believe, in the last 2 decades, which is quite extraordinary. Haven't won a flag since 75. Free kick way of the Swans. And the Swans from half-back. James. Front position, couldn't take it on the half volley. Bigly from Keeble! Cracking mark from the gun, Sebas forward. Swans players hurt. Lockie Cassidy very dutifully and respectfully goes across just to make sure the young fella's okay. Very sore indeed, and the umpire wisely just holding things up. Might be Tristan Maple, I suspect. Looked a bit knocked around by that one. It doesn't look too good at all. But what a mark by James Keeble.
Definitely the highlight of the day.
Certainly going to be in contention for our mark of the season. He finds O'Shea with a short option. Doesn't mind a leap, Keeble. Seen it many times before. O'Shea. Banbury. Just happy to pick their way forward now, Sebas. He likes to use his speed and he plays on and kicks long with penetration. Powling goes the fist. Quick kick away by the Swans. Fall so far as O'Shea. He's been pretty good today. Dummett, tough as nails. Swings onto the left, looks for the corridor. Dangerous ball. Widgery! How did he get that between two Swans defenders? Wow, this could be an absolute heartbreaker for the Swans if Widgery boots this one. Sebastopol will certainly firm as a grand final opponent for Melton if Widgery's capable of kicking this. He's kicking into a bit of a breeze. He kicks on goal and he kicks truly. His teammates float the win now, and a great mark by Widgery is rewarded with his second goal of the game. And the margin stretches out to 27 points once again.
5 straight kicks to get over the line for Ballarat.
Yes.
Given how today's played out, I'm not sure they're going to get another 5 opportunities.
Yeah. Their gun forwards have been starved of opportunities, haven't they, really?
Yes.
They've got a takeaway now with Waitman. Bit of a kick in hope. And unfortunately, not finding its target. On full stretch. It's Stowe. 66 plays 39, 10 minutes gone. Time ticking by and the clock against the Swans right now. Keeble flies again. Quick kick forward. Comes from Veal. Well, Forbes had a pretty good start to the game too, and now he's got an opportunity. Booted to Forbes, wants a short option. This is Veal, who had an outstanding second quarter. And he goes short as well to O'Shea. Happy to soak up a little bit of time, aren't they, Sebas?
They are smart. Take some time out of it through that middle part of the quarter and really put it out of reach.
Fighting hard is Forbes. In there was Fife. Now using the outer side of the ground.
Sebas set up really well behind the ball here. They'll find it hard to get out.
Well, Keeble. Here's Cassidy. Short option. And he finds the target. Called to play on. Kick on goal. It's across the face and through for a minor score. 28 points the lead. Sebastopol 67, Ballarat 39. Sebastian's inaccuracy not really hurting them today as it stands. And may be proven wrong before the final siren sounds today, but it's all going the way of Sebas right at the moment. 9-13 plays 6-3. Fisted away. Taken by Hill. Widgery at the bottom of the pack. Sweeping handball from the Swans. Trying to escape was Kennedy. Got it off to Prendergast. Kick towards half forward. This is Keel. He's been really good today, hasn't he?
He has, yes.
This is Veal. He's been very good as well.
Some of their more experienced players have really stepped up in the second half. Veal, Keel, Cassidy.
And the mark taken by Stowe. As every moment ticks by, it's just getting that much tougher for the Swans. Forbes, who booted 2. This is beyond his reach. He's going to kick from 55. But he can certainly set it up. Kick towards the top of the square. Good positioning. Taken by Hutt. He's taken in the tackle by Perry. And we'll have a ball up 25 metres out from the Sebast goal.
Hutt's one that's probably drifted out of the game in the second half, but others have chipped in and covered.
Widgery with a snap-on goal. It's across the face, the big leap. Ball stays in. Oh, and then happy to look for the refuge of the line was Nick Swain. And the umpire was only a few metres away, but he was quite content that was a legitimate attempt.
Lucky.
Yes, it looked a little obvious, didn't it, really? But the defender finding the refuge of the line. Powling, front position. Palms it down. Taken by Sebast. Little kick forward. Perry. Just away. And once again, the ball will be thrown, and this time on the opposite side of the scoring zone. Sebastopol deep in attack, looking likely to play Melton in next week's grand final as they sit at 9-13 to Ballarat 6-3, midway through this fourth and final term. Almost a mark taken by the Swans, but gathered by Veal. Back inside. Dummett. And the Sebast crowd becoming increasingly vocal, Jackson.
Yes, halfway through the final term. I think it's all but over. Ballarat supporters are very, very quiet.
Chase Dummett. Kicked a goal at the 13-minute mark of the third quarter. He comes in now, gets close to the man on the mark. Hits across the face. They move along to 9-14-68. Leading Ballarat 6-3-39. Once again, inaccuracy. Long penetrative kick in. Needing to move things on as quickly as they possibly can. Good work by Van der Heuvel. Offloads to his teammate in Hooper, who goes long towards goal, and happy to find a rush behind is Riley O'Keefe. 28 points separate the two sides as Ballarat move along to 6-4-40. Sebast 9-14-68. Streaming forward now, the Swans. A kick on goal. They've pulled one back. Might have been Tristan Maple, I suspect, who was earlier injured in that marking. Well, very exciting mark by James Keeble. (9-14-68) plays 7-4-46. 22 points separate the two teams. And just wondering if, with 16 and a half minutes gone, there is enough time left for Ballarat to do something here. They would need to get another couple of quick ones. And yeah, just they can't afford to muck around. There's no question of that. They have it in their attacking 50. James over to Hooper. Hooper on the left. Kicks towards Gibson, who takes the mark. And will play on and kick the goal. So all of a sudden, we are back to a 16-point game as goals come within the space of just a couple of minutes through Maple and Gibson.
Yeah, it's just the ability to get it forward from stoppage there. Domick, who's had a relatively quiet day, they've moved him into the midfield, got the clearance, got it forward. Nothing pretty about it, but we're able to scrap it, and Gibson just out wrestling his opponent on the last line and converted.
So just as we were talking up the fact that the game was pretty much done and dusted, here we are, 17 and a half minutes in. Sebastopol lead by 16 points. The Swans kicking with the aid of the breeze. And some desperate gesticulation by Lockie Cassidy. I think just encouraging maybe a couple of his teammates to move into the contest. Dummett couldn't quite hit the target. Here's James, who'll send his side forward once again. It's a long kick. The defender goes to ground and 3-4 are behind. So Sebast can reset as Ballarat move along to 8-5-53. Sebastopol 9-14-68. Sebastopol using the commentary side of the ground. Big fist away. Powling at the back. Domick contacted high. Needs to move it forward really quickly. He'll pump it long, but he goes to that pocket once again, and he goes only so far as Sebastopol defenders. Bit of a breakdown there on that occasion by the Swans.
Yeah, would definitely like his time again there. Rush of blood.
This is Banbury. Right half back. Bit of an up and under. Powling from behind. Fists forward. And the ball over the boundary line. So 19 minutes gone. We might expect that there's 8 to 9 minutes left in this game. And 3 goals required by the Swans if they, or 3 unanswered goals if they are to progress to next week's grand final against Melton. Sebas fighting hard to cling onto this 15-point advantage. Bursting through, Perry can't take possession. Forbes. And will have
paid it.
He's paid that against Sebas for having dived on the footy and not having worked to get that out. So the recipient of the free kick is Waitman. Waitman uses the stand rule, reel up and under. Ball, Van der Heuvel. He's fighting hard. He's taken the ground. Ball comes out of the pack, called to play on. Now we'll have a contest. We'll have a stoppage. 68 plays 53. Sebas fighting hard on the last line. Liston's in there. Bit of a no-look handball. Taken by Sebas. They're taken in the tackle.
Sebas will be just looking to throw numbers around this, turn it into a scrap.
Bit like what we saw of, I suppose, the Darley effort against East Point a few weeks ago, and just to lock it down and stoppage after stoppage. Sorry, not meaning to rub that one in.
Yeah, they did well. Took time off the clock. Would have had 15, 20 stoppages in a row.
Yes, I've heard all about the umpire's heart rate at that particular time. He was able to share with us the measurements, which were soaring with all the pressure that was mounting. Here's Gibson. He's moved himself into the ruck contest right now. Trying to burst through was Mellington. Free kick. It's gone the way of Sebas. This is Luke Keel, who's been really composed today. He's been the quarterback today, hasn't he?
Yeah, most certainly, especially in the second half.
Chase Dummett.
Ballarat really need to number off here, and Sebas just going to look to take time out of the game. Force him to kick long down the line.
Sebas do go along the line. Perry sets himself. Sutton was in there. And once again, a stoppage.
After those 2 quick goals, Sebas have done really well to wrestle the momentum back.
Here, Lockett Cassidy certainly gives plenty of directions on the field. He's a fantastic on-field leader. Here's Domick. Oh, he does get the handball out just in time. That's good defensive work. Just putting his body on the line there by Keel. He's been very impressive today. He's been one of the key differences, hasn't he, for Sebas?
Yeah, I think he's been their standout contributor across the field for the 4 quarters, along with probably Veal and Cassidy.
So 15 points separate the two sides. No one gets to the contest. As Cassidy tries to burst through. Powling at ground level. Cassidy takes possession. One way, then the other. Sweeping handball. Only so far as Widgery. He's wrapped up in the tackle. Stolen away by Liston. Liston with a quick kick forward and hits the Sebastopol defender. And now Keel. He'll take his time. Waitman really pushed the boundaries of giving away a 50 there on that occasion as he tried to close it on the mark. Up and under from Keel. Powling fists it away again. James overruns the footy. There's Keeble. He's happy to find the refuge of the boundary line. And with 23 minutes gone, Sebastopol clinging to this 15-point advantage after Ballarat kicked a couple of goals in the space of 2 minutes. Powling front position. Domek, is he away? I think he might have been grabbed by the leg. He is. Now he's away. Now he's going to be asked to go back behind the mark. And that just gives Sebas a couple of moments. Fear looks to have hurt his hand, but Domek now runs around onto the right, goes very long. The big leap from Van der Heuvel. Fisted away by Sebas, taken by Banbury. Kicks and clears, and that's a really awkward bounce for Powling. Keeble, head over the football as always. Releases a teammate. Now they're out. This is Hutt. Oh no, couldn't get away with it. Streaming forward with the kick is Swain. Now Dawson. Dawson to the hot spot. Gibson sets himself. Sebas get numbers back. There's Hooper. Couldn't capture the footy.
Again, the last few entries from Ballarat, they've really rushed of blood, kick it in there quickly, not be patient, and find that free. They've just dumped it on Gibson, Van der Heuvel's heads. Easy to defend for Sebas. And
often being drawn to that pocket too, which is proving pretty fruitless for them today. And the ball over the boundary line again. 68 plays 53, 24, almost 25 minutes gone in our preliminary final. Melton's opponent still not quite clear, albeit, and it's looking like it might be the Boroughs entering a grand final. Kick comes from Austin. Gathered by Garner. Once again, heads to that pocket. Van der Heuvel had hands, couldn't hold on to it. The ball over the line. So Sebas, just the one goal in this term. Ballarat have kicked 3. They've got it back to a 15-point margin, but time is quickly running out for the Swans. Van der Heuvel doing the ruck work. Liston goes off the ground. Taken by the Boroughs. A little too heavily weighted on that occasion. And on the full. Chance for Nick Swain. Swain, a left footer. Heads towards the hot spot on this occasion, but the Sebas numbers and the Sebas resilience inside defensive 50 has been enormous, hasn't it?
Yeah, that was kill again on that occasion.
It's been outstanding. This is Austin. Looks for the Cassidy lead and overcooks the kick. This is Maple. Comes in board to Domek. So Domek, just beyond his range, one would imagine. He looked to that pocket again, but that would prove futile. This time he might actually find a target. It caught the outside of the boot. Wasn't really heading in the direction that he intended, but the mark taken nonetheless. And this is Carter Prendergast. He sets sail for goal, and he kicks truly. Wow, it's a 9-point game. 26 and a half minutes into the fourth quarter of our preliminary final for 2022. And have Ballarat still got any hope at all with just a few minutes remaining in the contest? Time quickly getting away from them. Prendergast knew that he needed to move on that one pretty quickly.
Sebastopol started to drop numbers behind the ball here.
Back in the middle of City Oval, Powling releases Liston by hand. The Swans will go forward once again. Awkward bouncing football, trying to fist the ball over the back. Sebastopol have got numbers. Here's Hugo Pabst, fairly quiet upon his return game. We know he's a very capable player. Dummett releases a teammate by hand. Banbury, front position, ball to ground. O'Shea wanted to go off the ground. 9-14 plays, 9-5, and an inaccurate Sebastopol lead by those 9 points. Ball thrown in, Powling, Richards. Fisted away by Powling once again. Domek, who's really come into the game as it's continued to go. That was an interesting looking handball, and in fact the umpire agreed with me that it wasn't legitimate. And Sebastopol will be the recipients of the free kick at half back. Melton lay in wait for one of these sides. Who will it be? Nice long kick. Keeble! Great mark once again. Looks to have cramped up on centre wing outer side of the ground. Took an absolute specky earlier in the contest. And now he finds a short option and the siren sounds. And Sebastopol are through to the 2022 McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League Grand Final at Mars Stadium. They will play the Melton Bloods after having defeated Ballarat 9-14-68 to 9-5-59. The Boroughs still in hot pursuit of their first grand final since 1975's victory, and they will have an opportunity against Melton next week. Jackson Merritt, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think Melton probably go into the game firm favourites. But as I mentioned at the start of the coverage, that funny things happen in finals, and it's anyone's game on the day. And I think if Sebas can nullify Melton's outside game through Borg, then that goes a long way to winning the game and nullifying the two Carters up forward. They've kicked a large portion of their goals, along with Knight. I think they make up somewhere around the 8 or 9 of their 15 goals a game. So if you shut them 3 out, you're a fair chance of winning.
So Sebas obviously got away to the early advantage today. They led by 19 points at quarter time, and it was their defensive work really in that second quarter that I sense really set up today's victory.
Yeah, the second quarter definitely won the game. Their ability to, the inability for Ballarat to score with the breeze, given it was so prominent in that second quarter, and I think they kept Ballarat to 2 goals or something. Really shored up things at half time, and they just weren't able to claw back in the second half.
So for Sebastopol, Dummett kicked 2 goals, Forbes kicked 2 goals. We had singles from Hutt, Veal, Hill, Widgery, Cassidy, and that accounts for Sebastopol's 9 goals. Ballarat booted 9, and they had Gibson booting 3, and singles from Hooper, Perry, James, Vanderhoovel, Maple and Prendergast. So looking down the respective lineups, let's consider for Sebastopol firstly, who were your better players?
I think Keel was a standout performer on the ground for over the 4 quarters, especially in the second half. His ability to put himself in good positions, his leadership, and his ball use, and just a steady head in that back half. I thought Veal's ability around the ball, his clearance work, especially in the third quarter where he started that quite hot and had 5 or 6 possessions in the first 5 minutes. Cassidy over the course of the day, and probably came into the game more in that second half when Liston moved away from him. Hutt's first half I thought was really good. He had the measure over Vanderhoovel. And then for Ballarat, I thought Waitman's performance was quite solid. And Gibson up forward, yes, probably didn't have a heap of it, but he was a presence and come away with 3 goals. And Garner, I thought his run and flare really brought something to the game.
So from a playing perspective, would you be happier to be heading into a grand final coming off a week's rest or having played the previous week?
Oh, look, I'd love to be in the position where we've had a week's rest and blokes have been able to freshen up and we're going in fully fit, but at the same time you have that momentum and that feeling we can hear in the rooms now. Sebas walking into their change rooms and their supporters up and about. Momentum sometimes in footy is a good thing to have on your side. So I didn't really answer that question, sorry Wes, but I just like to be in the situation where I'm playing in a grand final.
No, I think that's a balanced answer because there's obviously merits in both. And as you allude to, the fact is that the Sebas supporters are certainly gleefully greeting their players as they make their way into the change rooms now and they're about to pump out the song. As I made mention, it was Sebastopol leading by 19 points at quarter time. They led by 18 points after a very even second quarter. By 3/4 time, they led by 26 points and got it out to as much as 29 points midway through that 4th and final term, and a really late charge from Ballarat with 3 goals across the course of the last 8 minutes or thereabouts, and the Swans got it back to 9 points, but ultimately it was Sebastopol winning their way through to the 2022 grand final. Sebastopol 9-14-68, Ballarat 9-5-59. Thank you so much, Jackson Merritt. I hope you've appreciated and enjoyed what we've witnessed today, and I hope it's been a positive experience for you.
Thanks very much for having me.
It's been great. Jackson Merritt providing special comments for us today. Of course, he will be heading up the charge with the Roos at the Eastern Oval next year, taking over from Jake Bridges, and we look forward to what he will bring, and no doubt our opportunity to catch up with him across the course of season 2023 and beyond. To Caleb Ludlow, who's provided his technical expertise today and also the fantastic camera work on behalf of Red Onion Creative. We hope you've enjoyed our McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League preliminary final for 2022, the Ballarat Toyota Match of the Day. I'm Wes Cusworth saying farewell, and join us again next week for the season decider.